Hey guys, Tomboy601, and today we got the Kleber, and let me tell you, this is going to be a controversial ship because she is probably the best destroyer in the game, if I'm being honest. I almost feel like she probably needs a nerf. We'll get into it, but first, let's go ahead and do comment of the day. Comment of the day goes out to someone who leaves a comment on one of our previous videos. Today's comment of the day goes out to Alexandre Villard. He says, there is a new PS Plus pack. You can get 7 days of premium in Arkansas. So thank you so much for bringing that up. I'm over on Xbox, so sadly I don't get this benefit. I ended up actually purchasing the Arkansas, but I did get the Iwaki for free, and it gave me free doubloons or credits. Anyways, you can go over to the PS Store. I believe you have to be a PS Plus member. It should be over in the store in like downloadable content for this game. Go ahead, check it out. It's free. I was tempted to go over and just download it onto my account on my PlayStation 5, but I decided not to. Anyways, Kleber, we're going to do this review a bit differently than the way I usually do. I know I usually give base stats and then go into my build. Unfortunately, I was dumb, forgot to write down all the base stats before I started adding things, and I'm short on time. So we're going to go ahead and go through the build, and then we're going to talk about what is, like, the better build, but it's the build I wouldn't enjoy playing. So, first things first, let's go ahead and talk the commander, and we'll go from there. So, the commander that I like to play is Louis Dufournet. You may know him as the Dewey of the French. That is what he is. He is the base commander for the French, but I like what he does for French destroyers, hence why I like using him on my French destroyers. So, as inspirations, I go ahead and use Eric Bay and Louis Violette. Then base trait, I have his base trait increases the HE shell damage. Then I have burn it down to add 2% to the fire chance. Look at me now to help with concealment. Malicious, which is just going to increase our maximum speed. Steer clear, which is going to increase our maneuverability. And finally, why I like playing him so much is going to be fully packed. Getting 2 reload boosters is beautiful. It lets you have a lot more utility than you would really expect, and it does come in handy. Now, the build that you will most likely see, and I'm sure a good number of the other community contributors will recommend, and by no means am I saying it's a bad one. It just leads to a playstyle that I don't like, but is a playstyle that is going to do this ship very well, is you could go to Felipe. He is essentially the torpedo commander for this ship. And if you have a maxed out Felipe, what you can do is you can get your detectability with a full concealment build down below 5 kilometers, and then you can get somewhere in the realm of a 56-second reload on the torps, which makes this the most powerful torp boat in the game, bar none. If you think the Shimakaze is the king of torp boats, think about it like this. The Shima, with a torp build, 130, 120 seconds to do a full 15 torps. In half that time, you're getting 12. So by a minute and a half in, you've already, by the 2-minute mark, you've already relaunched 12 torps and you're up on the Shima. And you're doing nasty damage. The Kleber, when used as a torp boat, will be a disgusting ship. And its other abilities lend to it being, it's going to be, I feel like, a problem in the upper tiers, especially for those who know how to play her. Mind you, Fantastique just caught a nerf for the same reason, right? We saw that she was a fantastic torp boat when, you could argue that the French line is supposed to be a gunboat, but because she had decent enough torps and you could build her to be a concealment-based boat and use the torps at close range, if you know what you're doing, you can do that. And, the risk reward is there. Let's be clear, you don't have smoke in this. So the risk reward to do that is there. It's just, it's really up to you. Anyways, let's get on back to the review. Now, in the first slot, I'm running Aiming system mod 1, though there is definitely an argument to be made for running main battery mod, because there are times where you feel like the turret traverse just isn't quite there. Feel it out, go for what makes you feel best. Next, we have steering gears mod 2. Then after that, the concealment perk, of course. And then finally, main battery mod 3 to get that main battery reload down even more. Consumables on the ship, you do have 3, and I'm also flying the grade 1 booster flag just to get some increased top speed, because this ship is real quick. It is disgustingly quick. Anyways, consumables, you have the usual damage control party. It's going to last 5 seconds and reload in 39.2 seconds. Main battery reload booster is going to increase your main battery reload speed by 50%. It's going to last 15 seconds, and you're gonna take 147 seconds to get it again. With our build, we do get 2 charges of it. And then engine boost, it's going to increase the maximum speed by 20%. It's going to last 120 seconds, and the reload time is going to be 176.4 seconds. And again, with our build, we are going to get 3 charges of it. Now, onto the stats. So hit points, 21,900 with armor between 10 and 20. I'll go ahead and throw up the armor main view. As you can see, the majority of the ship, 19mm armor, is pretty much everywhere, and then up in the superstructure, it's a little bit lighter. Artillery, we have 4 2-barreled 139mm guns with a range of 11 kilometers. Reload time on them, 6.2 seconds, with a 180 turn time on them of 20.7 seconds. Maximum HE shell damage is going to be 2,052 with a 12% chance to set fire. Maximum AP shell damage is going to be 2,700. Torpedo damage, you're going to get 4 3-barreled 550mm torps. Reload time on them, 77 seconds with a 180 time of 6 seconds. Max damage, 18,400. Detectability is going to be 1.8 kilometers. Range, 8 kilometers. Torpedo speed, 75 knots. AA damage, you are going to do 102 damage per second for in a circle of 4.5 kilometers. Maximum speed of the ship, 46.2 knots. And when you use the engine boost, you can get it up to 55. She purrs. She is a speedboat, and it's beautiful. Turning radius 740 meters with a rudder shift time of 3.6 seconds. Finally, concealment. With this build, we have a 5.4 kilometer detectability, 3 kilometer detectability by air, and a 2.8 kilometer detectability when firing in smoke, though that is going to be somewhat of a rare thing because you don't really have smoke. As far as the history of the ship goes, well, Kleber was never built. You see, before her predecessor class was the Magdador class. They built 2 of them. They kind of developed them. They decided they were going to make some changes. And in 1939, 1940, they went ahead and ordered the Kleber. Of course, in 1940, you historians out there know what happened. France kind of surrendered. Kleber never built. But you know, she was pretty much designed and ready to go. It was just a matter that the nation that was building her surrendered, and therefore she was never really put down. But yeah, that is the history of the Kleber. Let's now go ahead and talk a game through her. So here we are on Crashdown. As we can see up top, there is 1 destroyer on the enemy team. We got 2. We're over on this left side, and we're going to do the destroyer's job first and foremost, and that is to cap. Now, when you are playing Crash Zone on this A side, and specifically the spawn, you do kind of have an early choice on how you want to set up. You can either go wide around A along that island and kind of put yourself a little more forward, or you can do what we do and we go more towards the center of the cap, giving us more protection from the center line. I just decided to go ahead and do this because a lot of the time the enemy ships are going to be taking the long way around that island that's dead ahead of us. So this should give us pretty well cover, and the only ship that may really come see us is if they have that enemy destroyer, then that will be the one that goes ahead and detects us. So we do have a Yamato dead ahead, not quite in that torpedo range, of course, and we're going to go ahead and start parking ourselves and just kind of putting ourselves at a decent angle that we know we can go ahead and escape from if we need to. we are doing pretty well here as far as capping goes. It doesn't seem to be too contested. None of the other capture points have been contested yet, so it does mean we still kind of need to be on our toes. We have only seen 2 ships, which means there absolutely could either be the destroyer at A or C, and it turns out it's the Shimakaze, and it is right here at A. We're going to go ahead, swing those guns around, hold off on using the reload booster just yet until all of those guns are on target. We don't want to waste any of that time. And then we see Shima is going ahead and turning nose in. When it's nose in, we don't want to use that reload booster quite yet, just because we want the biggest canvas to paint our HE on. And once he's somewhat sideways to us, we're going to go ahead, pop that reload booster. And a Shimakaze is sideways to us, so we know what that means. He's definitely throwing torps our way. We'll go ahead, pop the speed boost as well, and get out of here. That way, he's not really expecting the amount of speed. We can go forward. Alaska is already pretty weak, so we're going to try to swing our guns, take a couple of shots while we can, and go nose in to where we know those torpedoes are coming from. And there they go, swinging right by. We now have about 20 seconds, and we see that this Vlad probably is not paying attention to us at all. We're going to pull forward and go ahead and launch our torps, have them go down range, and see if we can get a little bit of damage while we wait on these other ships, and then start poking our nose out around. As we can see, Alaska is still outside of our detectability range, so if we can go out and around this island, we may be able to spot him and the Yamato for our team and let them do a little bit more damage. We are still a destroyer, so we do still want to provide that spotting support, but we don't want to risk it just yet, just because we haven't fully capped the objective. And of course, playing the objective and capping is going to be the more important thing. As you can see, those torps make their way to the Vlad. Sadly, he had already reduced the majority of his health, but we do get that 1 torp to take him down. Yamato looking fairly healthy. We're going to go and try to spot and do a little bit extra damage. As I was saying earlier, Kleber can be played in one of 2 ways, like a gunboat hybrid type ship or full-on torpedo boat. I, as a player, am not a huge fan of being in torpedo boats. There's a reason I really love the American destroyers. They're not exactly gunboat focused, if you will, but you know that means that you might not play this ship perfectly optimally. Yamato within range on the torps. We go ahead and fire our starboard torps, flip around, and get ready to fire the port torps. Doing it staggered like this means that hopefully he will fire off his repair party and will perma-flood him if he goes ahead and does it on the first one. It says out of range here, but we know Yamato is going to have one of 2 reactions to torps. Either he's going to go forward or he's going to go back, and it looks like he's going to go forward. He's going to go ahead, eat those first torps, and we're going to go ahead and start firing away. Now that we have those torpedoes going down range, I think it's safe to say that we can go ahead and move towards B. A, we have C has not been captured yet, and B is currently giving the enemy team points. There are also 2 battleships whose only job right now is to shoot the Yamato, so I feel fairly confident with going ahead and ditching harassing the Yamato for better things, such as trying to shoot at this Bismarck and also trying to cap B to head off their point scores. So Yamato looks like it does have a perma flood, which, hey, is nice. We'll go ahead and keep racking up the damage from him, and we'll go ahead and sail into B. Of course, we aren't really contested anymore, as we did take out their one and only destroyer, and it looks like the rest of their team is definitely sticking over towards that seaside. It does look like we have an Amagi coming on in, so we're going to go ahead and position ourselves to try to fire some torps at the Amagi, start harassing him, and start capping B. Of course, he should be able to kind of deduce that we're here, or at least someone is here, and we're going to go ahead and predict that he might try to turn in, just because a lot of the times when you're firing torps on these like corners, you want to try to predict the path they're going to take. And yes, the aim indicator says one thing, but a lot of times from experience, you think captains are going to try to take the shortest route, and he's probably trying to cap B or trying to prevent it, so he might turn in. Sadly, in this case, it is no-go, but we do know he's not looking at us, so we're going to do the other thing that French destroyers are really good at, harassment fire. And this is why I like playing French destroyers. having the guns to be able to harass people and just kind of mess with them and get them to turn away from firing at your teammates is a ton of fun. Combine that with the high speed and relatively good maneuverability that your ship will have, well, it means that you're going to be able to burn battleships' chance to do damage, right? Battleships have a very high alpha strike, meaning all of their damage comes out at once. If you can go ahead and cause that damage to be burnt, as in fired at you and for them to miss it so that damage doesn't hit anything, well, you're doing your team a very good service. That damage is no longer going to be applied to what would most likely be your battleships, or worse off, your cruisers. So if you can go ahead and distract battleships, one, it tends to be some fun and engaging playstyle, and two, it does end up helping out your team. Now, we are over here on B, and we're going to go ahead and try to set sort of a trap for this Amagi. As we can see, our friendly Kagero is very happy sitting in this little nook. He did just fire off his torps, but that doesn't mean he won't have another set in the relatively near future. Amagi has put himself at the very back end of this island. Pushing forward means certain death from that destroyer, and we're going to go ahead and flush him out. First, we're going to go ahead and fire one set of torps off, just in case the Amagi decides to push forward now. That way, we have a sort of security policy on the front of the island, and then we're going to go ahead and, like a herd dog, kind of like a sheepdog, what a sheepdog would do, we're going to try to start pushing the Amagi. Amagi can see us now, right? He's well aware of where we are because we're within 2.5 kilometers of him. But we can go ahead and start pushing him around this island. He doesn't want us to catch up to him. So if we kind of take these long routes, we're going to give him time to push around and give our Kagero the chance to go ahead and fire torps. And that's just what we do. Surprisingly, Amagi is looking straight at us, fires away his AP, and it does a decent chunk of our damage. Amagi, though, does get taken out by our battleships that he is now broadside to. I would say that worked out fairly well, just because we were able to flush him from his cover. Finally, at the end of this game, we're now going to go ahead and push into C. They have 2 cruisers left, usually the sworn enemy of the destroyer. One's a Prince Eugen. I don't know quite yet what the next one is, but Eugen is well within our range. Though he does have Hydro, we're just going to go ahead and fire. These can be distraction torps, kind of force him to go down lines that we'd want. We end up eating some torps from the Kagero, and we get spotted, because guess what? We're going loud. There's only 2 ships left, and it's time for us to enjoy our long-ish range guns and our fun maneuverability. So we're going to start kind of kiting away, pulling the aggro, if you will, of the other 2 cruisers, because generally the first thought of a cruiser player when they see that a destroyer is out and loud is to go ahead and fire at them and try to remove them from the map. So we'll go ahead and give them a target to shoot on. Sadly, Alaska has decided we're not worth his time, so we're just going to keep pestering him until he realizes we should go ahead and be worth his time. We do have 7 fires this game already, by the way. That's another thing I did notice with Kleber. With the number of guns we have and the reload booster, there was one point today where I had like a single salvo set 3 fires at once. I think it's the best RNG I've ever had, and I'll absolutely take it. But Kleber seems to have a fairly consistent way to start fires, which is another bonus to boosting that fire setting chance and having these long range guns that can definitely go ahead and harass the cruisers. Alaska takes a big hit. We're going to keep on just firing away, trying to keep spotted and trying to be the annoying ones. Widespread torps just for the lulz, because I doubt those are ever going to hit anyone. But Alaska looks like he's going to be down. He's down, and now Eugen is the last one. We are quickly coming up on the scoreboard. If we look, they only have 20 points remaining, and we're very quickly closing in on the finish. Eugen is about to go down. That's game, and that's the Kleber, guys. Very powerful ship, especially if you play it in slightly broken ways. I just don't like playing it in said broken way. Anyways, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. See ya.